schedules to be here for this important event. We are so delighted to have all of these wonderful leaders with us today. And isn't it great? We're all agreeing on something. We're agreeing on some really good leadership that we see coming forward. So with that, we're going to keep this moving, and it's my pleasure to introduce my former boss, actually, when I worked at the city, and a great mayor that was for the city of Green Bay, Mayor Paul Jadin.
As someone who has held the office that these two men are seeking, I find myself aggrieved by the campaign I have witnessed and the activities of the few years preceding it. The community that I was honored to serve is at risk of sinking into the cesspool of partisan discord that I abhorred in Madison and that we all disdain in Washington. There is a crisis of leadership across the street, and one candidate in this race is more than able to correct that. Indeed, one candidate in this race has the admiration of the executive and legislature with whom he has worked for the past 8 years, and the other, not so much. That contrast, more than anything you've seen in this race, should inform your vote, because far more than any promise or campaign boast, it speaks to what they have done or failed to do, and it gives a true picture of what they will do. One candidate in this race is focused on the issues that matter to Green Bay, like crime, infrastructure, taxation, and economic development. The other, not so much. Instead, he has followed his party's playbook by trying to make Donald Trump and abortion local issues. I assure you they are not. One candidate in this race has generated his support and funding locally, the other not so much. One candidate in this race has a vision for growing the city's tax base so as to be able to afford the programs and improvements that are necessary to get the city back on track. The other, not so much. One candidate in this race will see to it that the partisanship, which has reared its ugly head in the past 4 years, will be thwarted as of tomorrow night. The other, not so much. And one candidate in this race has the backbone and thick skin to weather the trials and tribulations that I assure you attend that office, and the other, alas, not so much. That candidate who will get Green Bay back on track again is Chad Weininger, and I urge the voters of this fabulous community to give him a chance to prove himself to you, just like he is to the people assembled here today. Thank you. Now it's my privilege to have you welcome someone who doesn't have a partisan bone in his body, someone who, along with Chad Weininger's fabulous assistant, has done a hell of a job for Brown County. Please welcome County Executive Streckenbach. Yeah.
Well, good afternoon. Interesting times that we live. When we think about our communities, we think about our neighborhoods, we think about our safety, we think about our children. It really starts right at the local level. And when we elect individuals to represent our ideals, it is what we hope will come to fruition. And I really needed to set the record straight. So I'm not here today to talk about Mayor Henry. I'm really here to talk about Chad Weininger, who's been the director of the administration of Brown County for over 8 years. Back in about 2012, there was a life study that was conducted by the community. It highlighted the dysfunction of local government, specifically the city and the county. And it was at that point where there was a call to action by the community to address that, because again, where the rubber meets the road is local government. And one of the reasons why I asked Chad to work for the county is because of his long history of consensus building, his ability to understand financials, his vast understanding of local, state, and federal issues, understanding how to navigate the different personalities on the legislative bodies, whether it's the county board or the city council. When we have complex issues, such as the paper-making corridor or working on the Rush Expo, these things don't happen just inside of a vacuum. It happens because we have dedicated people who are willing to do the work, to figure out a solution, and to work with individuals who are represented behind them. Whether it's the city council or whether it's the county board, the one thing that I do know is that the last 8 years, the county's success has been because of one individual's willingness to work with the legislative body, with the county board, to work with the administration, the executive's office, and we ultimately have been very successful in marching forward a vision, a document that essentially says this is what the county is going to do: debt reduction, tax relief, infrastructure. And we've been successful. We've been that way because we have the star-on work and ethic of Chad. Mr. Weininger. This election has pulled out a discussion that is not truly reflective of what Chad has been able to do. And I think from a county's perspective, when we look behind us, behind me, we'll recognize that this last budget we passed unanimously. If anybody remembers the county board and some of its interesting times, 2-hour debates, 2-day when it comes to our budget sessions. We now are able to have really good conversations. A lot of the work is completed well in advance through working with the oversight committees. And this is done because we work together. And I think that's truly what the power of what we've been able to accomplish as a county is. We understand that we represent 26 different districts. And each one of those districts have different aspects, different constituent concerns, different needs of their community. And we work together to solve them as a team. And that's one of the truly beneficial ideals that Chad represents. The ads that we've been seeing that depict the way Chad would run the city is flat out not represented. And I find it to be unfortunate. But that's politics. The other thing that I found to be disheartening, specifically with me, was that my image was used in a political ad referencing or implying that I was endorsing Mayor Vander. You guys, I have a policy not to endorse candidates. I've basically done that since I've been in office, at least local candidates. And here, the person who I'm working with for the last 8 years, I'm now in an opponent's ad, or an ad campaign, suggesting to the public that I am supporting this individual. And I found that to be just rather in poor taste. So today, I wanted to set the record straight about what Mr. Weininger represents. And the fact that I'm not endorsing Mayor Vander, I'm endorsing Mr. Weininger's work ethic and the things that he can accomplish and the things that he's done while the Director of Administration of Brown County. And at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Melinda Eck, who is the representative of District 11 of the City of Green Bay.
Thank you, Troy. So I got the short end of the straw today, so I'm here to speak on behalf of the City Council. So today we have 9 out of 12 that have agreed to, be in unity in this. However, one was unable to make it out of work. He just texted me saying he's not able to pull away unless he comes running in, and that's Craig Stevens. So today we have 9 out of 12, or 75% of our City Council members present to send a message that we would like a change in leadership style that includes communicating and engaging with us. a leader that is willing to work as a team and bring people together. Chad has proven his ability to do just that. One example of this was evident in his ability to create a budget for Brown County that was passed unanimously, as Mr. Streckenbach said, our executive director, and that was passed unanimously by 26 Board of Supervisors. And if you're watching the city council budget, that didn't go quite like that. So he did this by attending committee meetings, meeting with staff and the supervisors, listening to their needs and expectations, and creating a budget based on the feedback he received. We as a council crave leadership. We crave transparency. We crave communication. We crave nonpartisanship. And most importantly, we crave change. And we believe Chad is the one that will bring us all together and create a team that will work together to move Green Bay forward. Thank you.
About the person Chad Weininger is. We need leadership in the city of Green Bay, and we encourage all of you to talk to your neighbors, to talk to your friends. Tell them not to listen to some of those ads. I had the pleasure of talking with one of the county employees this morning, and he said, you know, my adult children laugh at those ads with Chad with the Photoshop hat on his head. That's not him at all. So, get out there. We need every vote possible, and we need new leadership, and the future for Green Bay will be so much brighter. With that, we'll take any questions that you have.